Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. We are excited that you are here today. Today we will be looking at how to gain visibility into your Cisco network with SolarWinds technologies. And I have to tell you, today's topic is near and dear to my heart because I love having choices. And now Cisco offers you more choices for collecting device data to upload into the SmartNet Total Care portal. Today our mission is very simple. We would like you to help you answer the question, how can I leverage my IT investments in Cisco and SolarWinds to get even more value? You are most likely attending this webinar because you have Cisco technologies and support services and/or you have SolarWinds technology. In addition, you would benefit from automating a solid foundation of data to support fact-based IT decision-making and drive actionable business outcomes. With hundreds or even thousands of routers, switches, and controllers in your network, how do you know which devices are obsolete, which are covered by support agreements or affected by security vulnerabilities, or which devices are ready to support your growing business demands? You could spend days or even weeks gathering model numbers, software versions, and service dates. You may even hire consultants to distill this information into reports that can be easily interpreted. Or you could get the information you need, when you need it, and how you want it. Today we will show you a better way, an automated way, using SmartNet Total Care. We will kick this off by providing an overview of how SmartNet Total Care works, and then we will demonstrate how to gain visibility into your Cisco network using the SolarWinds collection technology and Cisco SmartNet Total Care service. SmartNet Total Care offers software-enabled capabilities that collect device data from your installed base, which has been analyzed and compared to Cisco's intellectual capital to provide you with actionable insights through a secure web-based portal. These insights identify gaps in service coverage, provide references to applicable key certs and field notices, and tell you when your Cisco devices are approaching end of sale, end of engineering, or last day of support. So if you're already using the SolarWinds Network Configuration Manager, or NCM, you can set it up to provide Cisco with the device data needed to analyze your network inventory and coverage status, and provide you with insights that can help you implement recommended network changes. So today we're going to demonstrate how to do just this. Our agenda for today has 3 primary steps to it. First, kicking off things will be Dean Morton from SolarWinds, and he will introduce the SolarWinds collection technology. He will also demonstrate how easy it is to deploy this technology and upload device data to SolarWinds NCM console, and then send it on to Cisco SmartNet Total Care. Then I'm going to jump back on, and I will talk to you a bit about how to enable access to upload your device data to Cisco and view the device data along with the relevant Cisco contract, manufacturing, tech support, and security information in the SmartNet Total Care portal. Finally, my colleague, Treyon Ray from Cisco, will demonstrate how to actually upload the data into the SNTC portal and start realizing value by accessing data from pre-canned and customizable dashboards and reports. Now we'll go ahead and wrap up with a quick overview of resources that are available to provide you with even more information and let you know where to go for additional support. So with that, I'd like to kick off today's presentation by introducing our next presenter and our SolarWinds expert, Dean Morton. Dean is a senior sales engineer at SolarWinds. He has over 10 years of experience in managing and monitoring IT infrastructure, and now he focuses on removing unnecessary complications for IT pros like yourself. Dean is a proud New Zealander and or an Australian, depending on the topic of conversation. So please join me in welcoming Dean. He will kick off today with a live demonstration. So Dean, I'm sending it over to you to take it from there.
Thanks very much for that, Karen, and hi everyone. Thanks for joining the call today. Yeah, and as Karen mentioned, it can go here or there with Australia or New Zealand, but given that we're ending the summer and coming into winter, I'll probably switch to New Zealand mode for rugby pretty soon. But more importantly, you're probably here to hear more about the SolarWinds NCM solution. So what I'm going to do is take you through a quick demonstration today of that. Now, NCM really exists to address a few specific situations in your environment. One of these directly relates to the SmartNet Total Care, and the rest are general IT conditions that you'll come across in all sorts of environments. Related to the SmartNet Total Care, you won't get very far if you don't have an inventory, and that inventory needs to include all the typical things like machine types, serial numbers, and other things that, as we touched on before, can be very tedious to collect by hand if anyone's been out there on the floors and gone and crawled through old cable closets, data centers, just trying to get access to the serial number with a flashlight. So NCM really addresses that by leveraging our discovery tool, and I'm going to unashamedly borrow an analogy from my colleague Leon. He calls this a jab and haymaker approach. So the initial discovery does the absolute minimum to find out if the device is there and what it is. So you really call that the jab. The haymaker is when we follow up later on with the process and really get all the relevant details. Now, because we know what the device is, so we're not just going out and asking everything for a large amount of details, we're going to specifically target that. Now that we know, hey, this is a Cisco device, we're going to ask the right questions to get the right details from that Cisco device. So it's really targeted. And of course, once we have that info, feeding into SmartNet makes perfect sense, which is really why we've developed this connector utility, which creates a secure integration path between NCM and Cisco. So without further ado, I'll share out my screen and we'll take a look at the NCM application and how we go about doing that discovery. Now, just a quick bit of housekeeping there as well. If you are using a slightly smaller screen or the visibility is not great, there is the option to maximize. So you should be able to maximize with the arrows on the top right, and that will give you a good overview of what that looks like in a much bigger picture. So here we're on the main screen of the Network Configuration Manager, or NCM. You'll probably hear me refer it to more. And this is going to be set up for some devices within our lab. So if I expand this out here, you'll see the device list. Now, NCM, bread and butter, is really about collecting device configurations. So we can do this on a schedule. So let's say every night at 11 or 12 o'clock, we want to go through and grab all perhaps the running or the startup configs, or we can actually do it based on an event. So, let's say someone's made a change. We can receive a trap or a syslog from the device, and actually NCM will then go off and grab the config, so you can straight away get the latest version. And with that, we can then do comparisons, so what's actually changed on the configuration. A quick example of that here, we can just get a nice graphical diff between, right, here's the lines that have been added, whether some have been removed or modified. So very nice and quick and easy to distill a lot of that information. And again, we do this automatically for you via jobs, but at any one time you can manually pull the configurations too. And we can also use reports to report on compliance violations. So on the right you'll see some examples of some policy violations. So we do a lot more smarter things once we have those configs. Maybe you want to check that the right protocols are enabled, we've got the right SNTC community string set up. Now we can go through and verify all those and also help remediate them too. So it's a very powerful functionality in there. But really what we want to know today is how do we get these devices actually into NCM, which is a key part of then being able to get this data up over to Cisco. So what I'll do now is jump up into our settings, and you'll see we have an option here called the Network Sonar Discovery. So this is our term really for how SolarWinds products, not just NCM, will go out and do a discovery of the environment. Now, here we could go through and set up a new one, but what I'm going to do now is just go through and take a look at one that we did earlier within our environment. So I'll just click on Edit here to load up. Now, the first step is where we're providing SNTC credentials. So SNTC is really the first step that we need. So here we're just going to need your read-only credentials. Now, the good thing with this is, we can provide multiple strings. So in a lot of environments, you may only have one string or multiple. You can put them all in here, change the order, and we'll go through and try those on each IP that gets the response. So if we go next, this is the screen for our agent technology, which is more based on some of the other SolarWinds products, so we'll skip that. Then we get to the config management. So as mentioned here, we're able to specify credentials. So we can come through and put in SSH or Telnet credentials, and it would also ask us, what are perhaps the enable levels and the enable passwords, and we can also go through and change a lot of those options in there as well. So I'll just cancel out of that. But again, the key thing is you can add multiple profiles in there because most environments, whether it's a security reason or just due to historical reasons, have various sets of credentials. We can pre-populate all those, and we'll attempt each one as we find results. Now, clicking next, we'll go on to the next screen. Here we have Windows credentials. Again, this is more valid for some of our other server monitoring products, so I'll skip that step. And now for the next most critical thing. What do I want to target for this particular discovery? Now, we have three options. So we can specify an IP range. So if we have, perhaps a standard 24-bit mask subnet, we can just put a, starting with a 1 and ending in 254. You can come through and populate more based on subnet masks, or even put in a seed router that we can pull the subnets that we find available on there. Or in this example, we've got specific nodes. So you may already have an asset list where you've got a bunch of IP addresses and you would rather specifically target those. We can come in here, just paste in all the IP addresses, and we'll go out and specifically target those IP addresses. From there, we go on to the next, and we're able to save this as a name. So my colleague here has done one earlier called Leon Discovery, and there are some more advanced options we can toggle if need be. So for certain environments, perhaps you're doing it over a large global network where we might need some more changes to the timeouts and the settings, but very rare that we would need to toggle any of those, but those options are there if you need it. And we'll just click next there. And the last step really is, when do I want to run this discovery? So typically when you're first setting it up, we would go through and just do a one-off. But the really nice thing with this is we can actually schedule them. So let's say you've got a pretty dynamic environment, or perhaps the processes aren't that great. When someone goes and deploys a new device, they may forget to follow all the onboarding steps there. We're then able to go through and say, perhaps daily at 10 o'clock at night or midnight, I want to go through and run the discovery. And for something like that, you would generally target a network or a subnet, and then we can find and alert you, hey, we've actually found a new device that's popped up on here. Do you want to manage it? So that's a key part of SolarWinds and the discovery. Very nice and simple click-through process, and which is typical in line with the rest of the SolarWinds ethos. Really is all about getting everything up and running as quick as possible. So the actual NCM software install itself is very much a next process too. So we'll just cancel out of that discovery there. Now, once we've actually got the devices in there, so as mentioned, at this stage, we've really kind of gone through and we've essentially done the jab as such. So we know these devices are in here. We know we've got a bunch of Cisco devices in there. The next step is to then go through and get a couple of key bits of information that we'll need for the SmartNet Total Care. Now, the first would be the actual configuration data on the device. And again, this can be scheduled, but we do have the ability to jump in here into the configuration management. We can just tick all the boxes here and go download, and we'll just kick off a running config on all these devices. So nice and quick, I've selected 28 devices, kick off that config, down they come. And we'll get an idea of which ones are in process, which ones are completed as they go. So nice and quick to do that within there. So that's the first step of the information that we need for SmartNet. The second is the inventory. So this is really the haymaker as such that we referred to earlier. This is going to go through and get a lot of that critical information on the chassis IDs and serial numbers, etc. So just like with the configs, we can kick this off ad hoc. So I'm just going to do an update inventory here. I've got 28 devices selected. And this will take us straight through to the inventory status where we'll go through and see the progress. So you'll see a lot of these will jump right through. And at any one stage, you can come in here and just check the status. So that's important to know that once you have them discovered, we do want to kick off an inventory status. Otherwise, at night time, it's going to go through and grab your configs and inventory. But if you're really keen to get the data up there straight away, we can run these manually. All right. So now we've got the key data loaded into NCM. We've got all the hardware information. Now we want to take a look at pushing that information up on into SmartNet. So for that, SolarWinds has provided this application in conjunction with Cisco, so what we're calling here SmartNet Connector. Now this can actually be downloaded from the SolarWinds site, so you can just come to solarwinds.com/smartadvisor-bundle, as we call it. The URL is up there, but any search will take you directly to that, and you'll download the bundle that comes with NCM and the SmartNet Connector. Put it on the file system and run the install. It's very much a next, just like the other SolarWinds products. Very quick, but the key thing is, this doesn't necessarily need to live on the SolarWinds NCM server. We'll configure the SmartNet connector to tell it where NCM is. So I'm just going to start up one that we have installed now. So a nice simple interface. One of the first things we're going to do is to come up into the settings here. So we've got a little settings widget. And here is where we'll come in and provide your CCO credentials. So once you're armed with those, we can quickly come in here and populate those. And at that stage, we're then able to go ahead and start a new report. So I'll just quickly walk through that. One of the first things we want to do is obviously tell the connector where the NCM installation is. So here we've got it locally. We want to give it some admin credentials and just do a quick connectivity check. So here we've connected, but again, if this was living on another server, you could just point it to the IP address of NCM. And then you would go through and populate your customer details, which you can easily go through and search, populate all the right address details, and all your user contact details down below. So these have all been pre-set up in our environment. From then, it's a matter of submitting that report. You will then get a status here that we're uploading it. This generally may take a couple of hours depending on the amount of data once I've uploaded it and for it to be all processed. You'll see here that this one is a status of ready, and I can just download that. Now this is going to give me a lot of the information in CSV format. So here we can see the chassis, modules, PCERT information. But at the end of the day, really the better way to view this data is within the SmartNet portal. And that's why at that stage, I'm going to hand it back over to Karen, who can tell you that part of the story.
Great, thank you so much, Dean. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go on to step number 2 in our agenda, which was, I'm going to show you how to enable access to upload your device data to Cisco, then view the device data along with relevant Cisco intellectual capital in the SmartNet Total Care portal. So to do this, we need to think about 3 different levels of access management with Cisco. The first is at the individual level. Everyone needs a Cisco.com ID and password to be able to use all of the tools and services available to you. With your Cisco.com ID, you can do things such as obtain product and user documentation. You can open, track, and update your service request, or you can access the RMA service order tool, etc. The second thing that you want to be able to do is to assign roles to the various services that are available to people within your company, so the users within your company. So the Cisco Services Access Management tool is used to administer user access to Cisco services, such as SmartNet TotalCare. This tool is used by your company's delegated admin. The delegated admin is responsible for associating users to your company and then assigning roles such as a customer admin or customer user role, or even for your partners such as a CBR admin or a CBR user role. And then this defines the roles for your users in your company for each service. Then there's actually a third part, is now that they have access to the service, within the service, there's also the opportunity to control what data is available to the various users based on their roles within your organization. So you can restrict users' access to things such as network segments, data, or even reports within the portal itself. And again, this is managed within the portal. So these are the 3 levels of access that are required in order to be able to successfully upload and then to use the information in the portal itself. So what we've found is that if you're having difficulties or if you're having trouble that you've successfully managed an upload within the NCM, but are having difficulty then seeing that upload of data in the SmartNet TotalCare portal, we have 2 big success tips for you. And I'm going to go into these in a little more detail because we have a little bit of time, but I want to let you know that this information is all in the SmartNet TotalCare community, so it will be easy for you to access. In addition, the slides will be part of the presentation. But success tip number 1 is that only those who have been identified at that second access level, where they're either identified as a customer admin or CBR admin, can actually upload the data into SNTC. So it's important that the person who is responsible for uploading is given an administrator role. And success tip number 2 is that the company addresses should match. So when your delegated admin receives notification that they've been nominated to be an admin, all they have to do is agree to the legal agreement, they will be given an email that has the company address on it. That is the same address that you want to be using in the NCM so that the Cisco system can identify with the NCM and accept that information so that that exchange occurs. So given that, like I said, I am going to spend a minute or 2 more going through some things that are actually in the community itself. So one is that there are a couple of requirements for a successful upload. As Dean mentioned, there's actually 2 pieces that need to be installed on the NCM side, and that is the NCM itself plus the NCM connector, which actually communicates between the NCM and Cisco. In addition, you want to make sure that you're using the SolarWinds NCM version 7.4 or later. And there are some server requirements, and you can see them here on the screen. You are looking for 3 gigabytes of RAM, 40 gigabytes of hard disk, and Windows Server. Now, again, the 2 success factors that will ease the transfer of the device data is that there is a requirement that the role within SNTC portal itself is that the user who's doing the uploading must be a customer admin or CBR admin, and that you do want to make sure that you're syncing your connector locations with the location that was identified in the DA email. Okay, so let's go through this really quickly. This is a glimpse of the SmartNet TotalCare community today. We are looking at doing a refresh, but it will have a lot of the same information. And part of the key information for you is that there are 2 great information sources. One is the how-to videos, which are located right over here, and then right below it is the documentation library. These are very important elements that will help you when deploying both SmartNet TotalCare, but also making sure that you have the communication with the collector technologies such as SolarWinds. So when you look at these resources for the how-to videos, and this is a live link that you in the presentation when you receive it, but when you look at the videos, we have a number of videos that walk you through how do I become a GA, how do I assign my users, etc. And we also have documents that are available in the document library that will walk you through. In fact, we're going to walk through one of those really quickly, but I wanted to give you a larger view of the notice that comes when somebody is identified as your delegated admin, and again, this important address here. That is a key address that if you're having difficulty uploading data into SNTC, check and see if you're using this address. And you'll see that same address across all three communication protocols so they can communicate to each other. Now, as we mentioned, for the access level number 2, that you actually need to use what's called our Cisco Services Access Management Tool. The delegated admin will use this tool to associate users in your company with your company, as well as to identify then the roles. This is a very straightforward process. Here is a screenshot of the interface. As you can see, all you do is come over to the second tab, and then you click on this Associate Users. You go through, you put in their CCO ID or email address. You come over here and you identify the company location. There's a put-on list that you can look at to identify that location. And then you've completed that part of it. All you need to do next is to go ahead and assign the SmartNet Total Care role to a new user. So again, you come over to the third tab. You come down to the second placement in that tab, and you go ahead and select the CCO IDs or emails, hit Submit, and then identify the role. Oh, I'm sorry, you can identify all the different users. Click Next. You identify which service, and then you come and identify the role. And again, if the person who is uploading the information is known to you, you want to make sure that you are identifying them as a customer admin and not just a customer user for SmartNet Total Care. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward. And again, these are slides that are right out of the community. And these links will be made available to you at the end. So jumping back, now what we're ready to do is to get into the fun part. So let's get a taste of some of the value that's hidden in SNTC ready for you. My colleague, Shreyan's Ray, will demonstrate how to actually upload the data into the SmartNet Total Care portal, and we'll give you a peek of some of the pre-canned and customizable reports and dashboards that are available to you. So with that, let me go ahead and give him a brief introduction so you know who you're working with, and he'll go through the portal with you. So Shreyan is a SmartNet Total Care product manager, and his primary responsibility for the SmartNet Total Care portal is to develop flexible data collection strategies. And of course, SolarWinds is one of those key strategies. He brings over 23 years of experience, including managing product life cycles, as well as using agile development methodology. But in his spare time, Shreyan enjoys running marathons, building model boats, and coaching kids at the Triangle Cricket League in Triangle Research Park in North Carolina, where he resides. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him, and he's going to jump in and give you a live demo of what you can do in the portal and help you look around. So with that, Shreyan, I'm going to pass it over to you.
And I will walk you through the SNTC SmartNet Total Care portal. And once you upload the data from SolarWinds and you hit the submit button, the data is sent to SmartNet Total Care portal via secured HTTPS protocol. And once the data comes over here, you can actually expand the library here once you log into the portal. and you can go to the Administration tab here and click on the Upload Processing. And that's where, when you click on this, that's where you will see the status of your data that is being uploaded either via SolarWinds or any other collector. So as Karen had mentioned before, that SNTC supports flexible collection. You can actually upload the data through many different channels. So for example, SolarWinds is one of them. Then there are Cisco collector, or you can also upload using the CSV file. And once you do the upload, you can see the status of the upload here. And somebody in the chat window did ask the question about where do they see the status. So this is where you will see the status. When the data is being uploaded, you will see the status as in progress. And then eventually it will be turned into a success if everything goes right. Or if there's something wrong, then you will see the failure message over here as a status. Okay. Once the data has been uploaded and the status is turned in successfully, so that means that the data has been processed successfully by the SNTC backend engine, and now you are ready to see the reports, the actual value that you would like to realize while coming to the portal. So let's look at the Inventory tab here, where you want to see all the inventory that you just uploaded from SolarWinds. So you come down from the widget in the left navigation pane to the Inventory section, and you click on the All Equipment tab, or navigation pane, that's what we call it. And you will see the inventory of all the devices that you uploaded. And of course, you will also see the serial number, the product ID, and the product family that the device belongs to, right? And also the product name that is called. And of course, it also includes the software version that is running in the device, and the type of software is running. So you can get all the information over here. You can also aggregate your data, your inventory, by you looking at the inventory by product. So when you click on that, it will actually aggregate your inventory based on the product IDs. And you can see how many total devices you have for that particular product in the network. So you can see that. You can also view your inventory by sites. So it will tell you where are these devices installed, at which sites. So you can look at that also. After you look to the inventory, you might want to look at the alert services. What alert services are is that this alert information gives you information about the devices that are actually either having hardware issues, or they are security vulnerabilities, or they are going last date of support. So you can see all those information right from here. So let me go through that one at a time. So here you can just click on devices with alerts, and it will show you all the devices with 4 types of alerts. The PCERT alerts, which is a security alert, if there is a security vulnerability in the software running inside the device, you can see it here. You can see the field notices alerts here, where if there is a hardware issue which has been announced by Cisco, you can see it over there. And then you can see the software end of life, the software that is running in the device, you can see that over here. And you can see the hardware end of life of the devices, if they are there. So you can look at that in one shot, or you can look at it individually here. So you can look at all field notices by clicking on the all field notices here. And when you click on it, it will show you all the field notices that are there. So here is the list of all the field notices. I'm going to just expand this a little bit. And then you can see how many devices are there. And of course, you can double click on it to see the details of those devices. All these alerts are very critical for you to make sure that you can proactively monitor that and make decisions on when to address those issues, because that would help you with deciding on your business goals or strategy and align with what your business goals and strategies are. Because if you are targeting a new network strategy or network architecture, you want to make sure that you are putting the devices in the new area where they are all healthy. There's no alerts issued against those devices. So that's why the alert services reportings are very critical to make those decisions and make sure that when you are deciding on a strategy, long-term strategy, you address those issues ahead of time proactively. Another thing we have is called the architectural assessments. What these architectural assessment reports tell you is that if you have a strategy that, hey, I want to have all the devices in my network IPv6 compliant, then you can actually see the reports by clicking on the IPv6 tab, and you can go to the viewing the assessment here, and it will tell you how many devices are there that require just a software upgrade or maybe a hardware upgrade to make it IPv6 compliant. And you can also look at which are the devices that are not capable at all. And you can, of course, click on the grid chart where you can view all those devices in a table format. And it will tell you right here the assessment status. Now, if you want to just look at the assessment status of, let's say, which are the devices that requires for upgrade, all you do is click on this, and it will filter it out for you, and you can look at the devices that only requires upgrade, and then of course you can make a decision on which ones to do next. The next I'll talk about the contract information. Contracts are very critical for any healthy network because you want to make sure that all your devices are covered under a Cisco contract just in case if there is an issue with the devices, you have a Cisco support team it's called the technical assistant team. They can actually help you right away. And that becomes very critical when it comes to making sure that your network is healthy and all the devices are under Cisco contract. Over here, you can look at all the active contracts that you have, the type of service levels that you have for each devices, and it will also tell you when is the contract start and end dates are. This will also help you decide on what action to take on the devices that are already expired from a contractual perspective, or they are reaching a level where it's critical that you need to make sure that you take action on it. So this report will give you that information. Now, once you have seen those details, there are times when you just want to look at the summary of all these services that we are offering, right? So all you have to do is come back up, and if you have access to the administrative tab so that you are an admin, you can just click on the dashboard here and expand that, and you can look at the alert management tab, and I'll just wait for it to come up, and it will tell you the number of alert services that are out there for each devices. So here it tells you that there are 366 security alerts that are there in your network that was collected here. Same thing with the hardware end of life, software end of life, and field notices. And it will also tell you about the LDOS information, which is the last date of support. And it's telling you that you have already 155 devices that are past LDOS. That means that there is no support available for you. So you can look at that in a summary view. Same thing with the contract management. It will tell you how many equipments are expiring in the next 30 days, or how many equipments are already overdue from the coverage. So this will give you a very high-level, quick view of where your network is at and where you need to focus on going forward, right? And that will help you decide on the next strategy or next goals or milestones that you want to achieve. You can also look at the inventory management, which also tells you the type of equipment that you have in your network and what are the source of the equipment, of the upload that you did. And I'm going to wait on that. So here it tells you that you have 677 modules, 289 chassis. So it breaks it down for you. And here it tells you how many inventory you uploaded using some kind of a collector and how many you upload using a CSV file, which is a manual upload. And last but not the least, you can look at the admin widget, and you can also look at the users who have access to this portal from within your company. So, or if there are partners, they can also access it if a customer, you as a customer have given them access. You can provide access to your partners also, and this is called a CBR admin or a CBR user. So you can give access to them too. With that, this was my last demo. So with that, I would pass the ball back to Karen to provide you more information about these help and resources that are available within Cisco and within SolarWinds. So Karen, take it over, please. And I'm going to pass you the ball.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Great job. So as you can see, there's a lot of really exciting information that you can get as a result of these technologies being brought together. But we also get questions about how do I get support. And that's a very important question, and I'd like to spend a few minutes so that you know the best place to go to get support so you can get your questions answered as quickly as possible. Speaking of questions, though, I do want to remind you we have Cisco experts and SolarWinds experts online ready to answer any questions that you may have. So please use the Q&A panel and ask your questions as I'm going through this. So as you look at the top image on this particular slide, what you see is that it's important as you're going through and you're working with the NCM and the NCM connector that you want to get a ready status. That tells you that you have successfully uploaded the device information within NCM. If you don't get a ready status, then you would want to go to SolarWinds for additional support. Now, if you get that ready status here, but when you come over to the collector, what you're seeing is either if you're seeing a failed, then you would want to come to Cisco for support, because that means there may be an issue with how you have enabled access to your Cisco data. So you've successfully done a collection with the SolarWinds technology, but you may be having some problems on the Cisco side. So let's go ahead and review that. So to recap, we've showed you three major steps: how to collect your installed base information, how to enable access to the Cisco intellectual capital that we have based on your devices, and as well how to upload that data into the SmartNet Total Care portal and realize the value. So if you're looking for support from the SolarWinds side, what you're looking to do is come to the SolarWinds Toolkit, which we will provide you this page, and if you're looking to either download the NCM or the free NCM connector, so you need to purchase the SolarWinds NCM, but the connector itself is actually free. So if you already have NCM connected and you need the NCM connector, please just go to the site and download it. The other alternative is if you're having questions, you haven't been able to get to that ready stage where your data has been successfully collected, please go to the SolarWinds support page, and we have a link for that. Now let's say that you have gone through that and successfully handled it, but you're having some difficulty getting your data into the SmartNet Total Care portal, or you're in the portal itself and you're looking for more support. There's a number of documents that we have available to help you with both of those processes. So as we saw earlier, There is actually a lot of information that is either in video format, in blogs, or in documents that will walk you through each of the key steps you need to take to enable access to your Cisco IP and enable access for your users within the SmartNet Total Care portal. And then, of course, once you're in the portal, how do you start extracting some of that value, and where do you find additional support? So what we suggest is that you start off looking at some of the how-to videos specifically geared to whatever issue you may have, or to start a discussion within the community and find out what your peers are doing or ask questions of the Cisco experts. But we will provide you with this page that gives you a number of resources available to you. Now with that, that really wraps up what we had in presentation format for you today, but I do want to give our experts a chance to come back around and see if there's anything else they'd like to add to the discussion. So why don't we kick that off with you, Jean, from SolarWinds. Is there something that you would like to add to our discussion before we conclude today?
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Karen. And just to highlight as well, as far as access to the connector, yeah, we touched on that, but just to clarify, if you already own NCM, if you're familiar with the SolarWinds customer portal, you can log into the customer portal and you'll be able to download the connector specifically from there. But other than that, the URL that we shared before, that does download both the NCM evaluation and the connector software bundled together, and that will give you a 30-day evaluation fully unlocked from, and much like all of our other evaluations. So I mean, I'd really encourage everyone that's interested, and perhaps if they don't have NCM already, to give that a shot. There's plenty of engineers like myself within region to jump on and help in the off chance that you have any issues setting the software up, and even regardless of that, we're always happy to jump on sessions, walk you through some of the software, and once you've got some of the data uploaded, perhaps explore some of the other functions within NCM. Things like the compliance reports. There's some nice firmware vulnerability checking, and then getting down into things like bulk control of your devices by automating commands and scheduling commands as well.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you. And Traylon, is there anything else that you would like to add to the discussion before we wrap up? You're on mute, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. Just wanted to tell everybody on the call that, come and try SolarWinds as a collector and try SNTC, uploading the data to SNTC and see its capabilities and see how it can help you manage your network, and also help you make decisions on how to keep your network healthy and make sure that there is no security vulnerability out in the network. So yeah, try this out, and it is freely available, as Dean said, for a month. So you can try that out and take advantage of the both SolarWinds and SNTC integration. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you. So one last thing before we conclude. For those of you who may not know, that if you previously had a SmartNet contract, you are now on SmartNet Total Care. So you are entitled to this service. It's part of what you already have entitled underneath your contract. So please take some time and explore what value it can bring to you and to your organization to help you reduce risks, work more efficiently, and get faster responses to any issues that you have. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude for the day. We really appreciate your time and attention. And if you do have questions, please join the SNTC community and ask your questions in the community. We'd love to hear from you, as well as your peers would love to have a discussion with you about how you're getting value and how they're getting value from the service. Thank you very much, and have a great day.